Okay, our guest today is an actor, he's a presenter, he's a historical expert. You'll know him from many things that he has been in and he's starred in and run, whether it is Time Team or indeed whether it is Blackadder. He is Sir Tony Robinson, he is the author of The House of Wolf, and he is here live in front of me this morning. Welcome.
Not quite live. No. My head is practically hitting the table this morning.
Come on.
We had the launch party for the book last night.
Yes.
And it was incredible because the traffic, as you know, made it impossible to
Tube
move
strike
about.
madness.
But almost everybody came. I think I invited about 110 people, and about 95 came, and they were all like weather beaten. But everyone was really triumphant that they were there.
They made it.
Yes, and was certainly prepared to celebrate the fact A, that my book had been launched, and secondly that they'd made it to the party.
Well, like we like to say, they'd worked up a thirst.
An enormous thirst, actually. It's strange that you should mention that.
Was it really one of those good? That sounds like a good night, actually.
Well, yeah, there were friends staying in my flat this morning. I had to pick my way through the bodies this morning to come and be interviewed by
It must have been like being a student again.
It was, yes,
all the old pals staying the night, that's great.
It was, yes, that's very good. It was very like that.
And the reason that we got talking about your launch party was because I was saying to you, a lot of people have gone a bit mad since COVID, for better or for worse.
Crazy.
And you kind of nodded going, yeah, I met a lot of them last night.
Yes, at the do, yes.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, no, just unhinged. You know how, this thing about like a student party,
yeah.
Somehow you get a bit more demure, even if you are a bit of a nutter, you get a bit more demure with age.
Yeah.
You tend to be more of a nutter just in corners. But last night, everybody got quite nutty.
It must have been.
It was lovely. I mean, it wasn't like, people weren't squaring up or anything.
No.
But it was, and it was great for me because I don't believe that my friends like me as much as they do. Do you know what I mean? And actually to see all those people turn up for the launch of my book, The House of Wolf. Did you see how I subtly got that
I saw.
into
It's okay. We're going. What do you mean by you don't think they like you as much as you hoped?
I don't know. I said to my wife, "There's no point in me having a party because nobody would be asked
No.
to turn up. But they just won't turn up." And
they all shut up to a last person. You underestimate their admiration for you.
It was just so lovely. Honestly, it was very, very moving. And I made a little speech, and my voice actually did crack halfway through it.
Very un-English of you, Tony.
Yeah, yes,
come
I
on,
didn't really.
You can do better than that. Let's talk about your book, The House of Wolf. I mean, I said to you before you came on the air. So first of all, congratulations. This is a grown-up history book. This is not for children, even though children books I often feel are as good for adults as they are for kids. But we got to that later. And you've decided you're going with the Saxons. Somebody called it, it's like a Saxon succession. That's very neat. I like that a lot. And I said, would you give me the Ladybird guide? And you said, actually, the Ladybird guides were very important to you as a kid.
Absolutely inspired me.
Great books.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there thinking, King Alfred, oh my God, who the heck is he?
Yeah.
When I say to people that I have written about King Alfred, first of all, they say, is he the one with the sword in the stone?
Yeah.
And then they say, was he before or after William the Conqueror?
Yeah.
Was he real? That's another one I get. Was he before or after Henry VIII?
Wow.
This is the one, 9th century, so we're like 850 AD. And on the Ladybird book, and I remember so clearly from when I was about 8 years old, you've got this image of this king who looks like really grand, and he's in a peasant's hut, and he's staring into the middle distance. And in the doorway, there's this old peasant woman holding a stick like she's just about to deck him. And on the fire, there are these cakes burning. Alfred and the Cakes is the one thing many people, everybody used to know about Alfred and the Cakes.
Sure.
I mean, a lot of people under 40 that for some reason that
by.
image has disappeared. But and so I loved the image, but I had no idea what it was all about. And then later on, I think when I was in my teens, I realised that he was never supposed to be king. He was the youngest son of 5 princely brothers, but one after another they all got slaughtered by the Vikings. He came to the throne. He was a rubbish king to start with, and then suddenly he turned it all around.
Found his moment.
Yeah,
found his groove.
Wessex was reduced to about 5 square miles, and that's when the story of Alfred and the Cakes takes place, when he's at his absolute lowest ebb, and he can't fight the Vikings. He can't even look after half a dozen cakes.
Yes.
And somehow he turns everything round. Within 2 weeks, he's completely destroyed the Vikings to such an extent that the hideous Viking leader, Guthrum, is parading round Wessex dressed in white with symbolic ties round his hand, showing everybody that he's kind of sacrificed himself and his old barbarian ways to the great King Alfred. So suddenly Alfred's got all this power, and he makes England. England didn't exist before him. That whole idea of England and Englishness comes out of Alfred and his son and his grandson. He is why we think we are who we are today.
And you said this has to be the book. I mean, you've got to write this story.
I've always thought I had to write
massive research operation.
Yeah, kind of. But because I'd always been so interested in Alfred,
you'd accumulated all this.
Yeah, and also because I'd done Time Team, the archaeology series, for 20 years, and so I've been, as it were, engaged in the English landscape. You know, if you're like driving down the motorway and you see a kind of lump, and you think, oh, I wonder what that is. Is that now or Second World War or ancient? Yeah, exactly. Well, is it a drumlin? Whatever
your geography class
is but so I know that stuff. And not because I'm clever, but simply because I've done that job for 20 years.
But you look out the window here, you see what the Kings call the dirty old river, the Thames, and you, how many you've made documentaries about this river?
I mean, my whole thesis is actually the Thames is the motorway of London.
I love that.
And then suddenly, in the 20th century, everyone started to avoid it just because there were far quicker ways of getting around. I remember when I was first learning to drive in the early 1960s, you drove kind of everywhere else, and the Thames was somewhere you just had to come up and down till you found a bridge. It was irrelevant to London, and it was just complete opposite of how it had been for century after century.
And then, that's as a kid you see a river, and then as you get older, every city you go to, you realise, oh, that's why every city is a city, because the river was the M50 or the main. Will you stick around for? I've got to nerd out with some more history with you in a moment.
Yeah, I can have a little sleep.
Oh, you can, and some more coffee for Tony, please. Thank you very much. So Tony,
we haven't stopped laughing.
No, it's been most
poor old
enjoyable.
Crowded house. They went right into the distance.
They were gone. There weren't even a twinkle in our eye. But we were just saying, because you're going back to your student flat with all your friends who stayed over. Sorry, Tony Robinson, our guest, live in studio, talking about the House of Wolf, which has plenty of, as we'd like to say, shenanigans between consenting adults, and indeed lots of swords and death and murder.
Yeah, because like when you said before, it's an adult book. I mean, yeah, all right, it deals with history, but I wanted to write a page turner. I mean, like anybody who likes reading, I didn't want them to be put off by the notion that it's about another time and not now. People were still doing all the naughty things then, and I relish telling you about them.
and then you had the launch last night, and that turned out to be a bit of a session, and you still have bodies on the floor of the flat, and you are saying you're going to go home with some sausage rolls. You say you already had an order.
You were killing yourself because I told you that my wife, before I came out, said, when you come back, this is like about 9:30 in the morning, she said, can you stop off and get me a fillet of fish?
The least, I don't know, I said no fish were harmed in the making of certain products, maybe not that one. Anyway, you got your work cut out for you after here to make sure you feed the masses. Let me mention Blackadder, which so many people continue to love and ask you about.
Rowan came to the do last night.
Rowan Atkinson, did he?
Richard Curtis came. It was really lovely. There were people from like every section of my life. I'm 79 now, right?
You're what?
I'm 79.
Lads, look him up immediately. This cannot be true. Go on.
So there were people there who I was at drama school with, 60 years ago. There were people from all elements of my life, and including
Rowan
the Blackadder people and the Time Team people who were.
They were all there. It was like this is your life, or that was your time.
That's how it really felt, and it was so moving. Can you imagine? Having people from all those periods. Somebody said to me, "This is like your wedding."
Well, I'm glad they said wedding and nothing else.
Yeah. Well, it's a dress rehearsal for the other one.
No, we won't. That shall not speak its name. But you said recently 9 actors turned down the part of Baldric.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if it was 9 actually. But
okay, let's name them.
You say to somebody like you, isn't it? 9 people turned down the part of Baldric. I don't know if it was 9, but it was certainly had been turned down by a number of people because it was the tiniest of parts and there was no gags in it. And if you can imagine, the people who created Blackadder, they'd all been at uni together, and so they were all mates and they all knew how to work together. And so they'd asked a number of their mates if they'd like to do the part, and their mates had looked at the part and gone, oh blimey, you've got about 560 lines, you want to ask me to say yes or no to 3 bags full? So I'd rather not. Ask me next time. Wow. I think that was the spirit of it. And also, to be honest, the pilot wasn't really very good.
Was it not? It just...
But I'd left school at 16 with 4 O levels, right? And There was no way I was ever going to break into that charmed circle of what I thought of as Oxbridge comedy in those days. That was the week that was Monty Python, not the 9 o'clock news, because I wasn't part of it.
It was for
people.
them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over there.
Yeah. Except I thought it was the funniest thing. They were all so funny. I always thought if I could get anywhere near those people, I could show them that I could make a contribution to that sort of humour. And so when I got this script, I just thought, yes, this is what I want to do. And it really did work like that. From the first morning I was there, it was like, I'm home. These are my people. Wow. It was just great.
Isn't that amazing? And did you ever meet any other actor who said to you, I went for that part and didn't get it?
Oh, Tim Sproul.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I can see why he was auditioned.
Or was it his dad? Maybe it was his dad in those days. I can't remember.
But you know what?
It was a Sproul.
It was one of them. But it was a defining moment in your life, and you made it your own, and obviously you were so good at it that they wanted more. Which brings me to the fact that you talk about the class divide, if you like, when you were starting out.
Yeah.
And then you were knighted.
Yeah.
By the Queen?
Yeah. No, by William.
By William.
Yeah.
What was that like for the boy who left school at 16?
I wish my mum and dad were still alive. That was a big emotion, as you can imagine.
Tell me about it.
What can I tell you about that? It was, I suppose it's that class thing. Like my mum had always loved Queen Elizabeth. Well, my mum, working class girl, dad worked really hard. They bought a semi-detached house in South Woodford, and lived that lower middle class life of the
aspiration.
Very aspirational, but very modest in many ways. When my mum picked up the phone, which of course was a new innovation after the war, she spoke like the Queen when she answered the phone.
She had a phone voice.
Yeah, she did. It definitely had a phone voice. And when she met people she didn't know, she either curtsied to them or kind of expected them to curtsy to her. She loved all that stuff and all those women's magazines of that time, which of course were jam-packed full of royalty. So the idea that I could have taken her to Buck Pal and with me wearing this knight cross thing, I just wished I could have shared it with her. But no, times go by, don't they? I was able to share it with my wonderful wife and my 2 kids, and it was just great. I mean, some people have said to me, "Oh, you're a lefty, aren't you? You're a traitor, aren't you? Accepting a knighthood." I really don't feel it like that at all. Yeah. It seems to me that every country in the world has a kind of system where they point their finger at people and say, "We think you have done something good for the country," whether they're cleaners or doctors or performers or whatever, and to have been picked out in that way and honoured in that way.
You take it as a compliment.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I take it as a compliment. I don't get anything for it. I mean, I never get upgrades.
Do you not?
Hello, can I have a table this evening? Yes, it's Sir Tony Robinson. Nothing. Nothing.
Well, that's good to know. That makes us all feel a bit better about ourselves. Can I say thank you to what you've done with regards to history and keeping history alive and interesting. You're a great teacher, and I think it's so important as a history guy. And people say history's boring. I always say it's not. You just haven't met the right teacher yet.
Absolutely right. I agree with you.
You know what I'm talking about. And when you love history, as you've been describing, the river, nothing is boring, and you will never be bored. And that's why you're 79 going on 15, because you've got curiosity and you've got passion and you've got interest. Yeah, I think you're amazing.
Thank you. We were talking before this went proper, before this went serious.
Yes.
We were talking about Peter Mandelson, weren't we?
He just got sacked,
he just got sacked, and we were both saying he is like somebody out of history.
He is.
He is like one of those dark, manipulative politicians out of the 18th century. I'm looking at the Times now. You could actually put a wig on that person and drapey clothes, couldn't you? And he would be in a sort of
from another time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we all have people in our lives who are kind of what you describe as otherworldly. And just go, you seem like a monochrome person, or you're from the Victoria. Either way, if you're a history person, you have these things in your head. Listen, you've got a fillet of fish to buy. Congratulations on your book. I'm thrilled for you.
Thanks,
Tony Robinson. It's called The House of Wolf. Is it today, the publication?
It is. Yes, it is today. That's why we had to have the party last night, because my daughter, who is also a writer, a brilliant writer called Laura Shepherd Robinson, she's off doing some booky thing today. So we had it last night.
And you've got a tour coming up, and people can
find out
all
over
details
the place.
about that.
I'm at Richmond on Sunday, then Bury St Edmunds, then Edinburgh this week. It's funny, isn't it? We'll be nattering away. Oh my God, I've got a crowbar in.
Well, listen, there's websites for that sort of thing these days.
Yeah.
Tony Robinson, it's been a pleasure.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
And have fun with the students later
Do you want a quarter pounder?
Yeah, that would be a Big Mac meal with Coke. Thank you.
Virgin Radio.